Welcome to AG's Ace. Let's take a look today at the Assembly Elections 2022, a look at UP and specifically Western UP, where 136 Assembly seats are at stake. And probably in the first two phases, one of the most important constituents will be that of Jats, and they are being led primarily by Jayant Chaudhary, Rashtriya Lok Dal leader, the grandson of Chaudhary Charan Singh, son of Ajit Singh, both formidable names in the past. And he has tied up with Akhilesh Yadav of the Samajwadi Party. So it's a very interesting combination. One needs to understand why the Jat factor is so crucial in Western UP. Not entirely, partly, and I'll take you through some of the main points as to what is going on. But to understand the current, one has to look at the past, and there Chaudhary Charan Singh was one of the key leaders in the past, in the 60s, and he had at that point in time formed the Bharatiya Kranti Dal, BKD, went on to be the Chief Minister of UP in 1967. Western UP, let's take a look at some of the numbers. So please stay with me. I'll slow it down so that you understand what I'm saying. That when we talk about the 136 Assembly seats in Western UP, the Jats as a chunk in certain constituencies, quite a few of them, they form 35% and above, which is a massive substantial chunk. Number two, another massive advantage that they have is that they are all tightly packed in one belt, unlike the Dalits and the Muslims, who are 5 times more than their numbers, but they are spread all over UP. And it is one of the key reasons why that Jats have such an important say in Western UP. Also, by and large, they have voted en bloc, barring a few aberrations in the past. So some of the districts where they will have a massive say in Western UP include Baghpat, Muzaffarnagar, Shamli, Bijnor, Meerut, Aligarh, Mathura and Moradabad, where they easily have a 35% electorate. So that is a pretty formidable number to have. Now, it is fair to also say that the Jats alone will not have an entire sway even in Western UP. They do have a formidable say in these districts, in quite a few of the seats currently, but not all. And it is also a fair assessment to say that alone Jayant Chaudhary couldn't have done much, but he was intelligent enough to form an alliance with Akhilesh Yadav, who brings in his own strength. Also, Akhilesh is pretty good at not only garnering the Muslim votes, but also a section of the Dalits who are disenchanted with Mayawati's politics, and of course the farmers come into play. The Gujjar factor, by the way, the Gujjar vote bank, they have also, due to the farm protests, aligned largely with the RLD SP combined, so that is another factor which is pretty crucial. Also, we need to understand that from 2012 onwards, how did the BJP break into this substantial chunk which contributed to the massive numbers under Yogi Adityanath? So in 2012, the BJP had 13 seats in West UP, just 13 seats, and from there they went on to 65 seats 5 years later, which is in the 2017 Assembly elections, and that was a phenomenal rise. So the question arises is that how did it all happen? Now, in the parliamentary polls which were held in 2014, the BJP won all, they swept all 9 seats in Western UP. Vote share was a staggering 77%. In 2019, the BJP retained 8 of the 9 Western UP Lok Sabha seats. Saharanpur went to BSP. Now, one of the reasons for BJP doing so well in these elections was a dangerous rift between the Jats and the Muslims due to the 2013 Muzaffarnagar riots, and that caused a deep schism within that. Cut to the present, no one is saying that everything is very hunky-dory between these two important constituents, but there is a large level of understanding between the two communities in the absence of any riots, and also because of the fact that at the top they are looking at Jayant Chaudhary and Akhilesh Yadav. The Jat farmers also have a massive say through their Bharatiya Kisan Union leader Rakesh Tikait, son of the great Mahendra Singh Tikait, whom we'll come back to later. But when we are talking about Rakesh Tikait, he has been the face of the campaign against the Modi government during the 1 year of farm protests. He was all over the media. He was a very prominent voice, and it is he who is still playing a very important role. He has been canny enough to not go openly or overtly political, but he has lent a tacit support to the SP RLD combined, and suffice to say that might be a very important turning point for the fortunes of Jayant Chaudhary in this election. Of course, the mowing down of farmers in Lakhimpur Kheri, where the name of Ashish Mishra was taken allegedly. He is the son of the BJP leader, Union Minister of State, Ajay Mishra Teni, and that really infuriated the farmers. It truly angered them. Also, he has just been granted bail a couple of days ago, and that has also incensed them further. The Samajwadi Party, it fared poorly in the region in 2017, could win only 2 seats in that phase. But like I said, that sometimes to understand the present, one needs to look at the past. So let's look at the 2 political giants of the past. One is Charan Singh, whose grandson, Jayant Chaudhary, is in the thick of battle. And on the other hand is BKU leader then, Mahendra Singh Tikait, who played a very, very important role. So, Charan Singh first. Now, he was the Chief Minister of UP in 1967, and then he reclaimed that post in 70. He was dead against the Jansangh, the predecessor of the BJP, and he did his level best to consolidate the Jat and Muslim voters of Western UP. So that was an interesting strategy which he started and which is now being followed to a great extent by his grandson Jayant Chaudhary. Of course, Charan Singh later became the Prime Minister for a truncated 6 months between 79 and 80. But after his demise, things went horribly wrong for this section of the community. It was then led by his IIT-educated son Ajit Singh, and then he headbutted a lot with, at that point in time, Mulayam Singh Yadav. They both vied for the position of leadership. Of course, Mulayam Singh Yadav, he did much better in times to come and had a much better record than Ajit Singh, who seemed to have frittered away the legacy of Charan Singh over a period of time. And one of the important points against Ajit Singh was his great affinity and love for political hopscotch, jumping from one party to another for immediate gains, losing sight of the grand vision of the future, of not even looking at a midterm, and kept losing and losing. So let's talk about specifics. Ajit was part of the VP Singh-led centre in 89 but defected to the Congress in 96. In 99, he formed the RLD, which is the Rashtriya Lok Dal, and that bagged 2 important Lok Sabha seats. One was Bagpat, the other is Kairana in 2002. And in 2002, the party allied with the BJP won 14 out of the 38 assembly seats it contested, which is a very good record. And that remains the highest number of seats ever won by the RLD. In 2007, ambitiously, it went solo and it won only 10 assembly seats. It had 9 in 2012, won only a single seat in 2017. That MLA later joined the BJP. Now, in 2019, both Ajit Singh and son Jayant Chaudhary lost in the parliamentary elections. Ajit passed away last year. Coming to Mahendra Tikait, who led the Bharatiya Kisan Union agrarian protests in the 80s and the 90s, and it included that famous dharna of 5 lakh farmers outside Parliament House in 1988 at the Boat Club. As a young reporter, I was present there, and I saw firsthand about the way he led the farmers, the way they parked themselves there, which was somewhat of a precursor of what happened against the Modi government, that for a year the farmers came in, parked themselves at the borders of Delhi, and just refused to budge till the government finally gave in. So this was done by Mahendra Singh Tikait back in 1988. Very interestingly, the Delhi police played Jethro Tull, they played Doors, Pink Floyd, all kinds of assorted hard rock, blaring on public speakers at night, not letting the farmers to rest, not letting them to sleep, hoping that they would get irate and move away, but that never happened. Now, despite all the hiccups, despite all that happened in the past, Charan Singh and Tikait's legacy, it continues to hold sway. It has enough grounds to be followed upon, and that is where Jayant Chaudhary is giving his all. And Tiket's son Rakesh Tiket, who's also the poster boy of the farmers' agitation, he has lent some kind of tacit support to Jayant Chaudhary. So the point, before we wrap this up, needs to be made is that alone as an entity, the Jats do not have overall impact all over Western UP. In certain, quite a number of seats, yes, the farmers have a larger say. At the same time, because of the combination of Jayant Chaudhary, Akhilesh Yadav and the tacit support of Rakesh Tiket, these three form a formidable combination. And this is the perfect opportunity, I feel, that Jayant Chaudhary has, not only for a comeback, for a resurgence, and his understanding is quite good, I would say, because no matter how hard the BJP tried to break his alliance with Akhilesh Yadav, he did not relent. Amit Shah went to great extents. First he tried aggression, then he tried cajoling, but Jayant Chaudhary has remained steadfast. This could be, like they say, the perfect storm moment for Jayant Chaudhary. We'll have to wait and watch for the results to come out on March 10. But like they say, there is a time and space where things seem to fall right for certain people in politics. This could be Jayant Chaudhary's time.